there as well, but they were on opposite sides of the bracket, so they did not meet in that go-around. As Rios looks at the pitch, high and inside, 2-1. I was with Stanford at that time. That was my senior year here on the farm, and it was intriguing hearing all about some big hitting first baseman that the Owls had in Lance Berkman. On a couple of hops, Holderbach handles it. 2-gun. I kind of took a strange hop a little bit, but Holderbach able to judge it the whole way. Saborn Campbell comes to the plate. He flew out to center in the second. But Stanford and Rice did not meet in the 1997 College World Series, but they did in the 2003 College World Series, and they met in the Championship Series. And it went all three. Rice beating Stanford and hoisting the big trophy at the very end of it all in 2003 in Omaha. Rice helping to turn their program around in the 90s, and maybe the one person that gets a lot of credit for that is now their head coach. The appeal to first base umpire Greg Charles. Greg says no. The count goes to 2-0 on Saborn Campbell. Jose Cruz Jr. signed with the Rice Owls. Played for them from 1993 to 1995. And of course, went on to a long Major League Baseball career. The Seattle Mariners, the Toronto Blue Jays. Time here with the Giants as well, here in the Bay Area. The 2-1. Off the fists and foul, counts to 2-2. So Rice was a very, very good program throughout much of the 90s, and of course culminating in their national championship in 2003. Went just 17-39 last year, and 9-21 in Conference USA. That one's lasered foul just off the top of the netting beyond the Stanford dugout. Count remains at 2 balls and 2 strikes. So Rice has been to the mountaintop. Stanford has 2, but it's been a while for both. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Got him looking. Called strike 3. 3 up, 3 down in the bottom of the third. Cardinal lead Rice 4-2 after 3. Four-2, Stanford leads as we begin the 4th inning. Skies starting to break just a little bit here over Sunken Diamond. Sun was out this morning into the early afternoon. Cloud cover throughout much of this game to this point, but starting to get some peaks of blue in the skies above Sunken Diamond. Still a bit on the chilly side. It was 51 degrees as we began. begin the fourth inning with Drew Dowd dealing low to Manny Garza, who grounded out to first to end the first. But the big news is that it's remained dry so far here today. The weather, of course, the reason why we're doing this doubleheader today instead of playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 2 balls, no strikes. Fastball is hit back up the middle and through for a base hit. Sixth base hit of the afternoon for the Owls, so they haven't been lacking necessarily for base runners. Paul Smith with one of those base hits as he doubled in the second and later came around to score. Dowd, still the Stanford pitcher, deals a first pitch strike, breaking ball. No balls and 1 strike. That'll get down in the left center field gap and bounce towards the track. Cut off by Park. And there are runners at second and third for the Owls. Paul Smith with 2 doubles in this one. So 2 on and nobody out very quickly here in the top of the 4th inning. Still just a 2-run game. As Garza heads over to third, Smith now at second. Connor Walsh, the batter for the Owls. Walsh with an RBI single in the second. Bumps one in there for a called strike 1 to Walsh. Walsh got off to a great start this season. Had a .786 slugging percentage in the first 4 games of the year. Strike 2 called. Rice began its season by taking just 1 of 3 against the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. As Dowd deals the 0-2. Upstairs and outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes to Walsh. Owls dropped the first 2 against the Raging Cajuns before winning the series finale 12-8. That game at Reckling Park, the Owls' home facility. And Rice beating Sam Houston 3-1 before getting on the plane to come this way. Bounces in front of Moore. Nobody goes anywhere. 2-2. Nick Dugan was warming earlier for Stanford in the Cardinal bullpen. He is now back up and resuming his activity. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Just gets a piece of it. Stays fair. Dowd has trouble getting the handle, and that allows Walsh to reach. So the bases are loaded with nobody out. Critical juncture about to unfold right here. Trey Duffield made his career debut earlier in the game and struck out looking in the second inning. Ruled an error, a fielding error by Dowd that allows Walsh to reach. Duffield goes around. Nothing in 1. Bases full of Owls. No balls and 1 strike. Dowd deals, blocked by Moore. Nobody going anywhere. Garza at third, he singled. Smith at second, he doubled, and Walsh reached on an error. He's at first. A 1-1. Fastball low, 2-1. Two balls, one strike. Dowd to Duffield. Breaking ball with a little bit of movement. Catches the zone, 2-2. The 2-2. Curveball misses outside. Count full. No walks for Dowd so far in this one. Here comes the 3-2. High. Ball 4. Garza scores. And now it's 4-3. Thomas Eager up and out of the Stanford dugout. Dowd has thrown 65 pitches. And that 65th will be his last today. A call to the bullpen. And the Stanford Cardinal turning to their second pitcher of the afternoon. Here comes Nick Dugan. More on him in a moment. Bases loaded. Nobody out. And Rice has already pushed one across. They're still down 4-3. Nick Dugan replacing Drew Dowd on the mound for the Cardinal in a critical situation as the Owls have already pushed one across on a bases-loaded walk. Bases are still loaded with nobody out. Stanford trying to hold on to a 4-3 lead, and Dugan, the freshman from Eureka, California, being asked to limit the damage. Dugan making his third appearance of the year, has an ERA of 19.29, 2 1/3 innings pitched so far this year, 5 hits, 7 runs, 5 of them earned, 3 walks and 3 strikeouts. Has allowed a home run so far this year. Opposing batters hitting .417 against the youngster. And the first batter that Dugan faces is Christian Salazar, who flew out to center in the second inning. Dugan, the righty, fires a fastball in there, called strike one. I hear a little hooting from the Rice Owls dugout, pun intended, as they did believe that that pitch had caught the strike zone. The 0-1. Dugan shows a curve. It goes over, strike 2. Dugan pitched just 2/3 against Cal State Fullerton in that just bizarre game, that extra inning affair in the series finale against the Titans. 2/3, charged with 5 runs, all earned. Salazar just nicks that one back to the screen. Count remains at 0-2. But then Dugan bounced back a bit, threw an inning in 2/3 against Cal on Tuesday in just that frigid, freezing affair. Was charged with a couple of runs, but neither of them were earned. So Dugan already seeing some action here in the early portion of the season. The 0-2, blocked by Moore. A freshman battery for the Cardinal. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Paul Smith at third, Connor Walsh at second, Trey Duffield at first. The 1-2. Got him. Swing and a miss. Well, that's 1. Cardinal need 2 more. Back up to the top of the Rice order we go. Ben Royo flew out to center in the first, struck out swinging to end the second. The sun is back out, the shadows lengthening. Swing and a miss. Strike 1 from Dugan. Good action on that fastball. Kind of tailed away from Royo. No balls, 1 strike. Comes back with the curve again. Similar pitch sequence to start Royo as he did with Salazar. Bases loaded, 1 out. Straight up. Owen Cobb has the call. And he makes the catch, 2 away. Here's Pierce Gallo, singled and scored in the first, lined out to short in the third. Bases are still loaded. Dugan deals. Down low, ball 1. High pressure situation here for the freshman. Nick Dugan on the mound. 1 ball, no strikes. Misses maybe a little bit high and a little inside as well. 2-0. Of course, you can't close the book on Drew Dowd just yet. 3+, 7 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts on 65 pitches. The 2-0. That's ball. 2-1. Checks the wristband. Deals the 2-1. 3-1. With the tying run just 90 feet away. The go-ahead run at second. Three balls and 1 strike. Fastball. Gallo was out of the box, but now he has to go back, pick up the bat, and face a 3-2 pitch. That's a good fastball on the outside corner. Dugan able to fight, hang in there, force a full count. Payoff pitch, runners going. In play, the diving snare by Cobb. 1 run scores, the throw home. Got him. So Walsh is thrown out at home. But the game is tied at 4 apiece. Bottom of the fourth about to unfold. We are tied at 4 apiece between Stanford and Rice. Maybe in some ways Stanford lucky that Rice only got 2 runs out of that exchange, as the bases were loaded with nobody out. Drew Dowd walked in a run, then gave way to Nick Dugan. Stanford defense able to help limit the damage on the very end of that sequence. And Owen Cobb, who helped make the play, is at the plate now. Launches the first pitch, catches the outside corner from Justin Long for strike 1. Cobb grounded out to short in the second inning. Cobb with a terrific diving stop. Couldn't prevent 1 run from scoring, but prevented 2 from coming in, as he was on the spot, up quickly with the throw home. So the game is tied, but Cobb with a heads-up play to preserve the tie and prevent Rice from taking the outright lead. Nothing in 2 from Long to Owen Cobb. Off the fist, and in the shallow center for a base hit. And the Owen Cobb story continues, at least in the early going of the season. A young man who hadn't really had too many opportunities the last couple of years. He was injured for much of 2021, played in just 14 games last year. But this year in the early going, getting an opportunity and making the most of it. So back to the top of the Stanford order we go. Eddie Park with a solo, or at least flew out to center rather in the first inning, and then hit a 2-run home run in the second inning, the first of his career. 1 ball and no strikes to Eddie Park. Looks at that one, 2-0. The amazing thing about it all is that the first extra base hit of Eddie Park's career came after 41 singles. It took him a while to get an extra base hit. He finally did that down at Arizona in that series against the Wildcats last year. Went 2 for 10 in that series with 2 doubles, and those were the first extra base hits of his career after 41 singles to start. Park ahead in the count, 3-0. Fastball inside, catches the corner, 3-1. Three balls and one strike. Runner going, fouled off. 3-2. Was it a couple years ago when Stanford just mashed the ball all over the yard, 85 home runs in the 2021 season, 8th most in Cardinal history? Payoff pitch, smacked back up the middle and sinks for a base hit. Cobb holds up at second. Back-to-back singles for the Cardinal. Hart making solid contact. Here's Tommy Troy. Troy walked in the first inning, stole second, headed over to third on an error by the catcher, and came around to score. In the second, he was hit by a pitch, stole second, and advanced to third on a wild pitch. Didn't score in that sequence, but he's been active on the base paths so far. Takes his first pitch from long, misses down low for ball one. Four. Bottom fourth. And the 1-0. Paul Smith had to reach out to corral that one. 2 balls and no strikes. With 2 on and nobody out. Hit to center. Coming in, Connor Walsh makes a couple steps and makes the catch for the first out. Carter Graham walked in the second, an RBI ground out in the first. Well, we should remain dry for the rest of the day today. Will not be dry tomorrow late morning into the early afternoon. That's why we're playing this game now and getting the series done and out of the way here today instead of finishing things up tomorrow. A casual throw to second from Long. Monday could be a very interesting day weather-wise. 100% chance of rain with a high of 49. Stanford's supposed to play here on Monday against Pacific. We'll see how that goes on Monday. Fastball bounces away from Smith. Everybody moves up 90 feet. So a wild pitch dealt by Long. And runners in scoring position. One ball and no strikes to Carter Graham. Catches the corner. So Monday could be a wild and woolly day from a weather standpoint. I'll be at La Crosse that day. That could be interesting. On Pac-12 network duty for that one. 1-1. Straight up, probably not playable as that falls in the fourth row. And the count goes to 1-2. Boy, and Carter Graham, boy, did he catch fire at points last year. Reached a point where he had hits in 21 of 22 games, had a 15-game hit streak that stretched throughout much of March of last season. 1-2. Doesn't go for it. Stanford dugout applauding as if to say, good eye, good eye. 2 balls, 2 strikes. With 2 on and 1 out. Outside, 3-2. Long trying to avoid the 5th walk issued by Owl pitchers today. And Carter Graham is out on strikes. Caught looking. That's a big strikeout dealt by Long. Just snuck that backdoor fastball in on him. Brings up Braden Montgomery. Montgomery is yet to be retired so far today. Solo home run in the first. Walked in the second. Inside. 1 ball, no strikes. Not for nothing, Stanford did leave the bases loaded in that 3rd inning. After Eddie Park's home run, Troy was hit by a pitch, and then Graham and Montgomery both walked before Moore grounded out to end that threat. So as of this point, after the foul off by Montgomery, that could potentially be a hidden sequence, a hidden key sequence in this game. The field almost completely engulfed in shadows. Just a little sun patch between the pitcher's mound and third base. Right where Owen Cobb is standing. The 1-1. Up high, 2-1. Cobb at third, Park at second. Montgomery awaiting the 2-1 pitch. It's up high, 3-1. Two on, 2 out. And the 3-1 pitch from Long. Fouled off. High sky ball that bounces off the upper walkway behind the press box. And about 42 different kids give chase, even those coming in from right field. And the count goes full to Montgomery. Montgomery looks back over to the dugout. And the sophomore steps back in. The 3-2 pitch. And this one is hit to left. Coming in, Salazar backs up. He makes the catch. And the side is retired. Stanford had 2 runners in scoring position with nobody out. But no one comes across to score. And it remains a 4-4 game at the end of 4. getting chillier here at Sunken Diamond. Folks reaching for their heavier outerwear. Breaking out the heavy caps. As we continue to be in a bit of a deep freeze of sorts here, at least for us here in Northern California. We're in a tie ball game here at Stanford. 4-4 between Stanford and Rice as we begin the fifth inning. Nick Dugan delivers to Jack Riedel. In there for a called strike one. Riedel 1 for 2, an infield single in the third. Struck out in the first. Dugan has Riedel down quickly, 0-2. Of course, we can now officially close the book on Drew Dowd. 3+, 7 hits, 4 runs, just 1 of them earned, with 1 walk and 3 strikeouts. Count goes to 1-2 on Riedel. Nick Dugan came in with the bases loaded, nobody out, and Rice had already pushed one across in the 4th inning. And a strikeout, a pop out, gave up an infield single, but the throw came in from short to home to end the inning. The 1-2 pitch. Got him. Swing and a miss. Riedel goes down on strikes. Strikeout number 2 for Dugan. Drew Holderbach. An RBI infield single in the first. And hit into a 5-4-3 double play to end the third. Now, we mentioned Stanford leaving them loaded in the 2nd inning, potentially being a key sequence in the game. That 5-4-3 double play could also be a hidden key sequence in the game as well. Of course, don't forget that Stanford just had runners at 2nd and 3rd with nobody out and couldn't score. The 2-0 to Holderbach. Base hit. Bounces in right in front of Sabor and Campbell. Brings up Manny Garza. Garza singled and scored, came across when Trey Duffield walked with the bases loaded. Pitch just misses a bit high for ball 1. Rice has had base runners on in every inning so far. They've recorded base hits in every inning so far. They have 9. Off-speeder goes down low. 2-0. So the Owls have certainly not been wanting for opportunities here. The 2-0 off the fist, just jammed him. Fouled off, count goes to 2-1 to Manny Garza. Garza, a sophomore from Rio Grande City, Texas. 2 for 3 and a walk in the first game of this doubleheader earlier today. The 2-1. Dugan spins and throws back over to first. The 2-1 to Garza. Breaking ball misses and the count goes to 3-1. Some initial warm-up tosses beginning in the Stanford bullpen. Grant Pantser, perhaps, with the runner going, and that one is hit to Bowser at second. The throw over to first in time for the out. But Holderbach was already on his way. He advances to second. Well, here's Paul Smith. 2 for 2 with a couple of doubles and a couple of runs scored. With 2 out in top of the 5th. Swings and misses. Fastball low and away for strike 1 from Dugan. The 0-1. Changing speeds, same result, nothing in 2. No balls, 2 strikes to Smith. Got him looking. Called strike 3. And Dugan gets it done. Through 4.5. We're tied at 4 at Sunken. Rice 4, Stanford 4. Bottom of the 5th inning. Malcolm Moore stepping up to the plate. Moore singled in the first, grounded out to end the second. Entire field is in shadows. The lights are on, but they have not taken full effect just yet here at Sunken Dime. As afternoon turns to evening, Justin Long deals the first pitch upstairs and outside for ball 1. Long has settled things down a bit for Rice on the mound. Heads up. 1 ball and 1 strike. Garrett Zascoda got the start for the Owls, went 1 2/3, gave up the 2-run shot by Eddie Park and was excused. Gave way to Christian Cienfuegos, who didn't retire a batter. Hit 1 and walked 2 before Justin Long came on. And it's been Long's show on the mound for Rice since then. Stanford has not been able to get a lot against Long. Just a single by Eddie Park. And a single by Owen Cobb as well. That's it. Since Long came in with 2 outs in the second. Two and 2. Hit to center. Going back, Connor Walsh. to the track, and he makes the catch just shy of the track. Good, solid, ringing hit. Good contact by Moore. But I don't think that was ever in any real danger of leaving the yard. Here's Drew Bowser. Bowser 0 for 2. Struck out in the first, flew out in the third to center field. Take that back to the screen, 0-1. Busy day, of course, in Stanford sports. It's always a busy day for Stanford sports. Always a lot happening. Always something going on. Bowser looks at the 0-1. He's down quickly, 0-2. Of course, the big headline for Stanford today was the result in Salt Lake City with women's basketball. Great matchup. 2 top 10 teams going at it, but it was Utah who got the 84-78 win over Stanford. 1-2, the count now to Bowser. Now, of course, Stanford clinched a share of the Pac-12 regular season championship with their win over Colorado earlier this week. Bowser swings and misses. His second strikeout of this game, and his 11th of the season. So 2 gone. However, Stanford is still the number 1 seed in the women's basketball tournament. Utah is number 2, followed by Colorado and Arizona. So those 4 teams get buys, first-round buys in the Pac-12 women's basketball tournament, which begins March 1st and runs through March 5th at the Michelob Ultra Arena down in Las Vegas. As Alberto Rios looks at strike 1. Rios walked and scored in the second, grounded out to first in the third. So Stanford's still the 1 seed. They will face the winner of Washington versus Oregon on Thursday as the Cardinals begin their quest to win another Pac-12 tournament championship and to make another deep, deep run in the NCAA tournament. 1-1 to Rios. Swings and misses on the fastball. 1-2. The last 2 seasons, of course, for Stanford women's basketball ending in the Final Four with the national championship. They brought the trophy home in 2021. What a run. Rios gives this one a ride, but it'll stay in the park. Walsh with a long way to go, but he gets there. 3 up, 3 down. Cardinal go down in order. And we remain tied at 4 apiece, 5 innings in. Top of the 6th inning here at Sunken Diamond. Rice and Stanford, the series finale, deadlocked at 4 apiece. Nick Dugan still on the mound for the Cardinal, the freshman from Eureka. Deals to Connor Walsh. Fouls that one. I believe that one hit more on the helmet, but he is okay. foul off, and Walsh is down 0-1. Walsh with an RBI single in the second, reached on an error in the fourth. No balls and 1 strike. Curve in there, called strike 2. We mentioned women's basketball and how it fared earlier today, losing to Utah, but still the number 1 seed in next week's Pac-12 women's basketball tournament. The 0-2. This is just a bit down low, 1-2. The Stanford Softball Invitational happening this weekend, just across the way over at Boyd and Jill Smith Family Softball Stadium. A 1-2. 2-2. It's the pitch high to Walsh. 4 teams involved in that one. Of course, the host, Stanford Cardinal. A couple of Mountain West teams in Boise State and Nevada. And Michigan from the Big Ten. 2-2. Fouled off. Count remains at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And so far, so good for Stanford. They beat Michigan earlier today 5-0. I called that game with Jenna Bassar and hustled over here for this one. And then Stanford 4-0 winners over Boise State in softball earlier today as well. The 2-2 just misses a bit low, count full. Cardinal will face Michigan and Boise State again tomorrow in the Softball Invitational, which will wrap up tomorrow, weather permitting. Fouled off again by Walsh, who's battling here. How about this? Stanford men's volleyball beating Hawaii in 5 sets, if I'm seeing that correctly. That's women's beach volleyball, actually. Walsh a little bit ahead of that one. Count remains at 3-2. If memory serves me correctly, Stanford does play Hawaii in men's beach volleyball, but I believe that's next week, the more that I think about it. Three balls and 2 strikes. Full count to Walsh. And he lost him. Leadoff walk issued by Dugan. Dugan has thrown 2+ innings. Which qualifies as the longest outing of his season, and since he's a freshman, of his career. Looks like Thomas Eager has put on the warm weather gear as he heads out to the mound, and he makes the call. And Nick Dugan's afternoon ends after 2+ innings worth of work. Cardinal turning to the bullpen for their 3rd different pitcher in this game. We'll tell you who that is in just a moment. Rice 4, Stanford 4, top of the 6th. Brant Panzer, the new pitcher for the Stanford Cardinal, the junior from Sewanee, Georgia. Panzer with an 0-0 record, an 8.31 ERA, making his 4th appearance of the year. 4 in the 3rd innings pitched, 5 hits, 4 runs, all earned, no walks, and 6 strikeouts. Panzer appeared in the first game of this series yesterday. Through 2/3, gave up a run, it was earned, and struck out 1. He comes on here and faces Trey Duffield, who walked with the bases loaded in his last plate appearance. And deals a first pitch strike to Duffield. Runner at first is Connor Walsh. Leadoff walk. Breaking ball with a little bit of movement. 0-2. So Nick Dugan goes 2+, 2 hits, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. Didn't really allow Nevada. I'm thinking softball for a second or so. This is what happens when you're calling multiple sports in the same weekend. The 0-2 pitch. Thought about it. Did he go? No. The appeal to first base umpire Greg Charles. Goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. It's Rice, whom Stanford baseball is playing right now. Rice didn't get a lot against Nick Dugan. Much like Stanford has not gotten a lot against Justin Long. A 1-2. Upstairs, 2-2. And Dugan coming in a high-pressure situation with the bases loaded and nobody out. Throw over to first to keep Walsh in. So Dugan did well to limit the damage there. Got a couple of outs. An infield single by Rice did allow 1 run to score, but Owen Cobb with a heads-up throw home to prevent a 2nd run from scoring and ending that inning. And after that, Dugan with just a single allowed in the 5th. And the leadoff walk here to Connor Walsh. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Curve misses somewhere. 3-2. Of course, most of us are well aware of the impact that leadoff walks can have, especially for the team that receives it. Let's see what happens here. Payoff pitch on the way from Panzer. Popped up. Ranging over Eddie Park. 1 gone. Bottom of the order for Rice. Christian Salazar. 0 for 2 today. Flew out to center in the 2nd. Struck out in the 4th. Foul ball down the 3rd baseline. Troy giving a terrific effort just to make sure. But the count 0-1 on Salazar. Panzer had a nice stretch out of the bullpen last season in the month of March with no earned runs in 5 appearances. Fouled off, Salazar down quickly, 0-2. Panzer steps back on. No balls and 2 strikes with Walsh at first, Salazar at the plate, and Panzer dealing. Doesn't get the call. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Moore tried to frame it. Scarlett Tender didn't ring him up. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hit to short. Cobb shovels to second for 1. Throw to first in time for the 6-4 3 double play. 5.5 innings in, and we're still tied at 4 apiece. Bottom 6th begins with Sabor and Campbell striding to the plate. We're tied at 4 here at Sunken Diamond. Great to have you with us. Troy Clarity here, flying the ship solo for this one. One in the first, 1 in the second, 2 in the fourth for Rice, 2 in the first and 2 in the second for Stanford, and that's been it. As Justin Long has been effective. 3 in the third. Stanford hasn't gotten much of anything off of him so far. Sabor and Campbell 0 for 2. Flew out to center in the second. Struck out looking to end the third. That one misses somewhere. 2-0 the count to Sabor and Campbell. Did not play last year. Started games 1 and games 3 of the Cal State Fullerton series last week. Fastball misses somewhere too, 3-0. Saborn was 2-time All-State first team in Michigan. His brother John plays baseball at Boston College. That's called a strike. 3-1. Campbell also had football offers from Virginia, Cincinnati, and Michigan State, where his dad played. Count 3-2. Three balls and 2 strikes. Back up the middle, handled by Gallo. But throw to first in time for the out. Owen Cobb coming to the plate. Singled in the fourth. A big play to end the top half of the fourth with his throw home to prevent what would have been the go-ahead run for Rice from scoring. Cobb thinks about it. Does he go around? No. They appealed to the first base umpire, Greg Charles, just to make sure. Connor Walsh in center field for Rice. Started the at-bat shaded over more towards right field, but now he's shaded more towards left, a couple steps to the left of the second base bag. As Cobb goes to a 2-0 count. No walks so far allowed for Justin Long. Swings and misses, 2-1. Long with 3 strikeouts. Got Campbell, Graham, and Bowser. The 2-1 pitch. That one catches the corner, 2-2. getting chillier here at Sunken Diamond. Two and two, fouled off the fists. Busy day up and down Pac-12 baseball. Some finals from earlier today. UCLA beating Vanderbilt in Nashville 3-0. UCSB handling Oregon 10-0 up in Eugene. 2-2 pitch, and this one is hit to left, staying in the park, and an easy grab for Salazar. 2 away. USC versus Auburn, and that went the Tigers' way, 12-6, that final. Utah on the road down in Corpus Christi. They beat University of Incarnate Word 13-6 at Whataburger Field. I wonder who handles their concessions. Back to the top of the order we go. Eddie Park, 2-run homer in the second, a single in the fourth. Of course, Whataburger, a Texas institution. Those of you who might be watching down in East Texas, obviously well aware of that. 1 ball and no strikes to Eddie Park. Back up the middle. And Park has his third base hit of this game. And all hit solidly. Obviously, the home run that went over the right field fence in the second inning. With a couple of ringing singles as well by Park. Tommy Troy walked in the first. Later came around to score. Was hit by a pitch in the second. Was stranded at third. And flew out to center in the fourth inning. First pitch misses from long to Troy, ball 1. Washington Huskies are here in the Bay Area. They beat San Jose State 3-2 earlier. With the 1-0 pitch, curves started inside and stayed inside, 2-0. Oregon State, no problems over Coppin State. That was a 16-0 final up at Goss. Arizona State lost to Mississippi State 5-1. West Virginia beat Arizona 5-1. Fastball in there, called strike 1. Cal hosting the Cal Baseball Classic over in Berkeley. They beat Connecticut 4-2. Of course, UConn was here in the Bay Area in the postseason last year. That one's popped up. Plenty of room for Holderback to make the catch in front of the Stanford dugout for the third out. And once again, Justin Long not giving Stanford a whole lot to work with. And we remain tied at 4 heading to the 7th. Top of the 7th inning on a Saturday evening here at Stanford. Rice and Stanford tied at 4 apiece. Great to have you with us. Troy Clarity here on Pac-12.com. Top of the order for the Owls, Ben Royo. Royo 0 for 3 with a flyout, a strikeout, and a pop-out. Brant Panther on the mound for the Cardinal. Swing and a miss by Royo for strike one. Panther, the third different pitcher for Stanford today. Dowd went 3+ in the start, 7 hits, 4 runs, 1 earned, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. Royo goes around, 0-2. Nick Dugan, the freshman, came in through 2+, 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. Blocked by Malcolm Moore. Panther came in after Dugan's leadoff walk to Connor Walsh, then induced a flyout and then a 6-4-3 double play to end the inning. A 1-2 to Royo. Got him looking. Called strike 3. Royo frozen. Froyo? Pierce Gallo stepping to the plate now. Gallo with a couple of singles. Scored a run in the first. Greg Charles, the first base umpire, rules that Gallo went around. 0-1. Panther working quickly. Pitch up high, 1 ball and 1 strike. One other final in Pac-12 baseball action earlier today. They played 2 up at Eugene, UCSB, winning both of them. I mentioned the 10-0 final in the first game. They also beat Oregon 4-1. UCSB, usually the best that the Big West has to offer, has come that way. Tails outside 2-2. Cal State Fullerton trying to get back into the mix in that conference. 2 balls, 2 strikes. That's up high. 3-2. Swing and a miss. Got him. Back-to-back strikeouts for Brant Panther. Brings up Jack Rydell. He has struck out twice so far in this one. Got an infield single back in the third. Just gets a tiny piece of it. No balls and 1 strike. So a busy day in Pac-12 baseball, and of course it's not done. Cal and Cal Poly in progress in Berkeley. They just got that going. They're just 1 inning into that one, and it's scoreless. That pitch up high for ball 1. And of course, this game happening right here. So the only 2 games involving Pac-12 teams yet to be decided, involving Bay Area teams. Swing and a miss by Riddell, 1-2. If I had known Cal Poly baseball was here, I would have asked if they'd stop by here and brought me some Firestone Grill, some tri-tip. That place is the spot. The 1-2. Down low, 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes. And the pitch from Panther, fouled off. In case you missed it, UCLA knocking off Vanderbilt today in Nashville. The Vandy boys didn't have enough for the Bruins today. 2-2. Fouled back again. Riedel staying alive. The 2-2. Got him. Back-to-back strikeouts. Brant Panzer getting it done and preserving the 4-4 tie as it's time to stand and stretch here at Sunken. Middle of the 7th. Stanford and Rice still tied at 4. Bottom of the 7th inning, Stanford and Rice tied at 4 apiece. Series finale. Can Stanford finish off the sweep? Can Rice get on the plane with one in the win column this weekend? That's what's left to be decided here in this one. Bottom of the 7th, beginning with Carter Graham. Looks at the first pitch inside for ball 1. Graham walked in the 2nd inning. 47 degrees with skies clearing here at Sunken Diamond right now. 1-0, breaking ball, tails just a bit too far outside. 2-0 from Justin Long, who has continued to pitch very effectively. 4 1/3. None across, just 3 hits and 3 strikeouts. Hit to center field. Walsh ranges over and makes the grab for the out. As the lights are starting to take full effect here at Sunken Diamond. Braden Montgomery put Stanford on the board in the bottom of the 1st inning with a solo shot that actually gave Stanford a 2-0 lead. So it was actually Carter Graham's RBI groundout that put Stanford on the board. Montgomery bit in front of this one, fouls it off to the on-deck circle, strike 1. That solo home run at that point giving Stanford a 2-1 lead, bottom 1st. No balls and 1 strike. Upstairs and outside, 1-1 to Braden Montgomery. Fouled off 1-2. I still think of Montgomery and just an incredible throw from right field in the Pac-12 tournament last year down in Scottsdale. Just the stuff of legends. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Wrapped sharply and off of Holderbach and into right field for a base hit. Boy, you could hear the contact there all around the campus, I think. Malcolm Moore singled in the 1st. grounded out in the second and flew out to center in the fifth. And Justin Long, having just allowed his fourth base hit of his outing, might not get a chance to face any more. Nope, that's it. His day is done. Well, Long did what Rice and Jose Cruz Jr. needed him to do: limit Stanford. And he certainly did that. 4 2/3 scoreless innings. But will he be charged with a potential go-ahead run? We'll find out in a few moments. Meanwhile, a new pitcher for the Owls. We'll tell you about him in just a moment right here on Pac-12.com. Rock and Roll Part 2, emanating from the PA system here at Sunken Diamond. That, of course, always has the Stanford baseball squad fired up and doing their routine. Always super neat to see. Tom Vincent, the fourth different pitcher for the Rice Owls in this one. Rice, a redshirt sophomore from Houston, transferred from Texas A&M. Vincent, about to make his third appearance of the year, has a 1-0 record and a 4.50 ERA. Just 2/3 innings pitched so far this year. 3 hits, no runs. He's faced just 5 batters. Opposing batters hitting .600 against Vincent. Can't close the book on Justin Long just yet, with Braden Montgomery running at first after the single. And Malcolm Moore sends this one to first. Snared. Throw to second for 1. Back to first for the double play. And a potential mini threat ended quickly by the Rice Owls as they break out the gloves. And we remain tied at 4 through 7 innings. We begin the 8th inning, and Stanford begins it with a new pitcher, their 4th of the evening. Ryan Bruno coming in from the bullpen. Bruno, the junior from Wellington, Florida, about to make his 3rd appearance of the year, has an ERA of 21.61 saves so far this season. That came against Cal State Fullerton in the Saturday game of that series. On the Sunday game, it didn't quite necessarily go his way, as he was charged with 4 runs, all earned in just 2/3 of an inning worth of work. But overall, Bruno with 1 2/3 innings so far this season. 5 walks, 3 strikeouts for Ryan Bruno, who did terrific things last year, especially at the end. The impact that he had in the postseason, fired up against Texas State, helping Stanford in that epic game here at Sunken Diamond last summer to close out the regionals and send Stanford to the Supers. Bruno last year 6-1 with a 2.72 ERA, appeared in 30 games and struck out 71 in 39 2/3 innings worth of work. And he's got the arm talent. He can rear back and dial it up. Yes, he has hit 97 on the gun in competitive ball game situations. As he comes on here to start the 8th inning, the 4, 5, 6 batters, beginning with Holderbach, 2 up for the Owls. Holderbach watches the first pitch outside for ball 1. Holderbach with a single in the first, had a single in the 5th. Grounded into a 5-4-3 double play back in the 3rd. That pitch misses inside, 2-0. That one's down low, 3-0. That one's in there, called strike 1. Holderbach has to go back. He even chucked his bat almost all the way back to the on-deck circle. So now he has to go back and face a 3-1 count and home plate umpire Scott Latender. Well outside, ball 4. So 6 walks versus 3 strikeouts for Bruno so far this season. Leadoff walk here. Brings up Manny Garza. Fastball is in there, called strike 1 to Garza, who singled and scored back in the 4th. Scouts have liked Ryan Bruno's ability to attack hitters. Doing it much more effectively so far on this at-bat with that fastball. 0-2. Garza down in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Low and outside, 1-2. Jose Cruz Jr., the head coach of Rice Baseball. A battle of alums leading their alma maters, respectively. Throw back to first with Jose Cruz Jr. for Rice and David Esker, obviously, for Stanford. The 1-2. Fouled off. And out of play. Of course, a special shout out to Rice's athletic director, Joe Carlgard. Carlgard, Stanford class of 1996. Worked in the Stanford athletic department in the development office for a few years. Bounces away from Moore And Holderbach heads to second. So the go-ahead run now in scoring position. So 6 walks for Bruno this season and now 4 wild pitches to go along with it. Here comes the 2-2. Got him. Swing and a miss. And the throw to first for the putout. So 1 out now in the top of the 8th inning. And Paul Smith comes to the plate. He's doubled twice in this game. Smith also scoring twice. Struck out looking in his last plate appearance back in the 5th. Fastball again. Didn't miss by much. Ball 1. Joe Carlgard, former Stanford Athletic Department staffer. Swing and a miss by Smith. 1 ball, 1 strike. Carlgard, during his undergraduate days here at Stanford, was with KZSU, was the lead voice for Stanford football in the 1995 season. Cardinal went to the Liberty Bowl that year. That was a fun year. 1-1. Down low, 2-1. So always neat when Stanford and Rice meet, especially with Carlgard running the show down in Houston. Shout out to him. 2-1. Now 3-1. Bruno steps off, steps back for a moment or so. The 3-1 bounces. 4-1. So Smith walks. Brings up Connor Walsh. And brings out Thomas Eager. Well, it's been feast or famine through the first 3 batters faced for Ryan Bruno. And that'll be it for him. Walk, strikeout, walk. As Bruno is responsible for the runners at first and second. Cardinal making a pitching change. We'll tell you about it more in just a few moments right here on Pac-12.com. Stanford and Rice tied at 4, top of the 8th. Matt Scott, the new pitcher for the Stanford Cardinal, the freshman from Reading, Connecticut, about to make his third appearance of the season. Has thrown 4 innings so far. No runs allowed, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. Has a 1-0 record and worked a 2-inning save against the Owls last night to clinch the first game of this series. We're tied at 4 here in the top of the 8th inning. It's been that way since the top of the 4th, when the potential go-ahead run for Rice was thrown out at the plate. A play that looms larger and larger as this game goes along. Rice trying to take the lead here in the top half of the 8th. Connor Walsh, the first batter that Matt Scott will face. Walsh with an RBI single in the 2nd. Walked to begin the 6th. Fastball in there. Called strike 1 from Scott. Both of Scott's appearances so far this year, he's gone 2 innings. In the first one against Fullerton, he got the win. The second one, he got the save. The 0-1. Fastball tailing outside, catches the zone, 0-2. Scott, the Gatorade Player of the Year for the state of Connecticut last season. Joel Barlow High School in Reading, Connecticut. The 0-2 pitch to Walsh. Gets away from Moore, and a hustle play by Holderbach as he heads to third. Not sure if Moore really diagnosed the situation there, as he kind of casually went over to retrieve the ball. Meanwhile, Holderbach with a heads-up play, taking advantage. It's called a wild pitch. Second wild pitch dealt by Stanford pitchers this inning. And now the go-ahead run is 90 feet away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Fouled off. Rice got a leadoff walk in the 6th inning, but it was thwarted after a 6-4-3 double play to end that inning. The 1-2. Did he go around? Yes, he did. The appeal to Greg Charles. Strike 3. Oh, that's a great pitch by Matt Scott, leaving Connor Walsh guessing. Maybe catching him between 2 thoughts. Big strikeout for Scott. Big at bat here. Trey Duffield walked and scored in the 4th, or check that, walked in a run as he was walked with the bases loaded back in the 4th. Pitch up high from Scott. Duffield also struck out looking in the 2nd inning. Flew out to center in the 6th. Drew Holderbach, a leadoff walk. He's at third. In there, called strike 1. First and third with 2 out. The 1-1. Upper part of the zone, gets it, 1-2. One ball and 2 strikes to Trey Duffield. The pitch, with the runner heading down to second, but Moore hangs on to it wisely. Two balls, 2 strikes. The 2-2. Fastball low and outside, count full. go-ahead run at third. Matt Scott trying to keep him there. Payoff pitch on the way. Did he go around? Yes, he did. Matt Scott. Great Scott. Big strikeout. And the Owls are left stranded at second and third. Bottom of the eighth coming up in a moment. We're still tied at 4.
We don't have enough refrigerator space. I know we do. We have, yeah. The whole idea is to be able to survive, okay, and lay in vast quantities. Sadly, you're ignoring the defense part, which is that you can only consume what you gather if you can prevent others from stealing it. I would bring Trader Joe's headphones. Right there. No, I was at Trader Joe's.
Boy, what a big sequence to end the top half of the eighth inning. Matt Scott with back-to-back strikeouts after the Owls had runners in scoring position, had runners at second and third at the end of it all, but Scott with a big strikeout to end the top half of the eighth, preserving a 4-4 tie and leaving the door open for Stanford here in the bottom half of the eighth inning. Drew Bowser, Alberto Rios, and Saborn Campbell due up for the Cardinal. They will face a new pitcher for Rice, Blake Brogdon, a senior from Cypress, Texas. Brogdon about to make his third appearance of the year, has an ERA of 0, 2 2/3 innings pitched, has given up 1 run, but it was unearned. Opposing batters hitting .222 against Brogdon. Drew Bowser 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Swings and misses. Strike 1 here. Well, how about this night for Tom Vincent? Through 2/3 of an inning on just 1 pitch. Got the 3-6-3 double play to end the 7th inning and thwart the mini threat by the Cardinal. The 0-1 to Bowser. 0-2. Bowser led the team in doubles in 2021, had 16 of them. Facing an 0-2 pitch from Brogdon here. Smacks it to short, diving stop. Arroyo up with it. Got him. The throw from Arroyo beats Bowser by a step. That's a terrific play by Arroyo. That brings up Alberto Rios. Walked and scored in the 2nd. Ground out in the 3rd. Flew out in the 5th. And his walk-up music has me hopping. First pitch from Brogdon to Rios is high for ball one. Outside, too far outside. And Rios is ahead in the count 2-0. Stanford scheduled to face Pacific on Monday, weather permitting. We'll see how that goes. That'll be a 2:05 p.m. first pitch. Bit in front of it, cranks it foul, 2-1. Cardinals staying home next week. They'll host Cal State Bakersfield for 3. Then against Santa Clara on March 7th here at Sunken Diamond, and then Pac-12 play begins. It's almost here. Stanford at USC beginning March 10th. 2-1. That's upstairs 3-1. So not a lot of lead time before Stanford jumps into conference play at USC to begin. And then the Oregon State Beavers come to town. That is always a test. And you know that the Beavers will definitely bring their fans as well. I don't think any fan base in the Pac-12 rolls any deeper from a baseball standpoint than the Beavs do. 3 balls and 1 strike. And that gets down for a base hit and rolls all the way to the wall. Rios hustles in with a stand-up double. So Rios, the go-ahead run in scoring position. And don't look now, but Rios has had himself a nice little weekend. 2 for 4 with 2 driven in yesterday. 1 for 3 with 1 driven in earlier today in game 1 of this doubleheader. And Rios with a big double here also walked and scored earlier today. So he has been effective at the plate. Pinch hitter for the Cardinal, it's Jimmy Natty. Jimmy Natty, a freshman from Sydney, Australia. How about that? Hitting in Sabor and Campbell's place in the 8th spot in the Cardinal batting order. And we're going to have a pinch runner as well. Henry Gargas coming out to pinch run for Rios at second. Gargas, the senior from Yakima, Washington. Pinch running at second. He now represents the go-ahead run, the potential go-ahead run for the Cardinals. Natty stands in. Facing Blake Brogdon. That pitch misses just a little bit high to Natty for ball 1. All the scoring in this game has taken place in the first 4 innings. Both bullpens digging in, both defenses digging in as well. A 1-0 pitch. Right down the middle. 1 ball and 1 strike now to Natty. Night has fallen here at Stanford. Brogdon the spin back and the casual throw. Gargas with an equally casual get back to second. 1-1. Upstairs, 2-1. So conference play begins quicker than you might be expecting at USC, then Oregon State, and then Utah. The first 3 conference series for Stanford. 2 balls and 1 strike. Gargas was leaning towards third, but no throw from Brogdon. Then Stanford heads out to Norman, Oklahoma to face the Sooners. A series that begins in March and ends in April. 2-1. Nicks it back, 2-2. So Stanford heading back to my old stomping grounds near where I grew up, just outside of Oklahoma City. I might ask Tyler Guyvet to bring me back some Bluebell ice cream. Not sure how that would keep, though. We'll figure it out. We'll get it done somehow. 2-2. In play. And Smith slips. And everybody's safe. The cool air and perhaps the dampening turf. It is natural grass here, of course, here at Sunken Diamond. And Paul Smith made the call. Brogdon was coming in as well, but Smith lost his footing as he tried to gain a handle on the ball. So it's called an infield single by Nani. And timeout has been called by the Cardinal. That might have been a relatively tough play for Smith perhaps to complete anyway, with the runner heading down to first. So that worked out in a lot of ways very well for Stanford. Cardinal will certainly take that result and have runners at the corners with 1 out. And a potential go-ahead run 90 feet away. With Owen Cobb coming to the plate. And boy, wouldn't that be something if Cobb continued his fantastic start to the season by driving one in and putting Stanford on top. Cobb 1 for 3, singled in the 4th. Facing Blake Brogdon. 5th different pitcher for Rice in this game. Swings, foul tip, 0-1. It's chilly, but it's not windy. That's very good news. That certainly was not the case here on Tuesday when Stanford hosted Cal. The flags are still in center field. No balls and 1 strike. That one's in there, called strike 2. Mentioned earlier in the game, I bumped into Dean Stotts, the longtime former assistant coach for Stanford baseball, who's now calling games as an analyst for the Pac-12 network, and he said Tuesday was the windiest game he'd ever seen here at Sunken Diamond. And that's saying something, because Stotts spent a lot of time here, a couple decades here in this building. The 0-2 to Owen Cobb. Just misses, but not by much. One ball and 2 strikes. Cobb stays alive. Henry Gargas, pinch running check that for Alberto Rios. Gargas at third, Nani at first. A 1-2 pitch, lifted way back, deep to left, going back, diving in, he can't get there. Ball short of the track. Gargas scores, hustling around third, sliding in, and getting the run for Stanford. Jimmy Nadi comes all the way around from first, and Owen Cobb delivers again. A towering 2-run triple gives Stanford a 6-4 lead. Boy, Cobb gave that one a really good ride, and when it came off the bat, I thought that might be gone. Potentially the force field, the infamous force field here at Sunken Diamond, keeping that one in the park. Now Salazar tried to dive, but he could not get there. Gargas and Nadi both scoring, and Stanford taking a 6-4 lead. Back up to the top of the order we go. Eddie Park, who's been magnificent at the plate. 3 for 4 today. A 2-run home run in the second. Pops this one up. Going over Walsh. As he makes the catch. Deep enough for Cobb. He's tagging. Here he comes. He slides in and he's safe. Sac fly RBI for Eddie Park. Park is now driven in 3. And Stanford is up 7-4. That brings up Tommy Troy. Troy walked and scored in the first. Was hit by a pitch in the second. Owen Cobb. Young man who didn't see very much playing time. Just 29 games played in 21 and 22 seasons combined. But making a big impact so far here in 23. On a couple of hops to Arroyo, the throw to first. Troy gave it a good speedy try, but the throw is in time for the out. But Stanford with 3 big runs in the bottom of the 8th, a 2-run triple by Owen Cobb, the biggest blow. Stanford on top of Rice, 7-4, trying to break out the brooms on the Owls. Top of the 9th in just a moment. For Rice, it comes down to Salazar, Arroyo, and Gallo. The 9-1-2 batters due up for the Owls here in the top of the 9th inning. Stanford ahead 7-4. 3 big runs in the bottom of the 8th inning. Matt Scott pitching Stanford out of a jam in the top half of the 8th. Still on the mound for the Cardinal. Salazar grounded into a 6-4-3 double play to end the 6th. Fastball called strike 1. Couple of defensive changes for the Cardinal. Henry Gargas stays in. and replaces Alberto Rios in left field. Court McDonald replaces Saborn Campbell in right. One ball and one strike. That's a fastball. On the outside corner, 1-2 to Salazar. A 1-2 from Scott. Got him. Swing and a miss. Scott's faced 3 batters. All of them have struck out. Ben Royo batting now for the Owls as we go back to the top of the Rice order. Royo looking for his first base hit. In this one, he's 0 for 4. Strike one called from Matt Scott. Scott has some size to him. Listed at 6'7", 231 pounds. Back up the middle. Off the mound. Past Bowser. Base hit. So Ben Royo is aboard. Pierce Gallo with a couple of singles today. Striding up to the plate. Yeah, Matt Scott, 6'7", 231 pounds, and he's a freshman. So he is probably in all likelihood going to grow a little bit more while he's here on the farm. Fastball in there from Scott, strike one. I hear the phrase bigger, faster, stronger in athletics, and many times it's applied in the football context, but it certainly applies in baseball as well, across all the sports, really. We're seeing some heights and weights across all sports that you go, wow, they're out there competing and doing all this at a high level, and they can move? One ball, one strike. Waves at it, doesn't connect, 1-2. That's another strikeout for Matt Scott. And the Owls are now down to their final out. Scott has thrown 21 pitches, 15 for strikes. And it comes down now to Jack Rydell, who has struck out 3 times today. In there, called strike one. By the way, that's the 14th strikeout issued by Stanford pitchers in this game. The 0-1. Just a little bit high. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ben Royo at first with the single. One and one. Off speed. Gets Rydell guessing. And the Owls are now down to their last strike. Scott steps off. The 1-2 pitch. Got him looking, and it's a final. Stanford breaks out the brooms on the Rice Owls Owen Cobb, a 2-run triple, pointing the way to ultimate victory. And Stanford beats Rice 7-4. Line totals for both teams: Rice 4 runs, 10 hits, 1 error. Stanford 7 runs, 10 hits, and 1 error. Rice now 2-5 on the season, while Stanford goes up to 5-2 on the year. They pull off the sweep of the Rice Owls, and Stanford pitching dealing 15 strikeouts to the Owls. Defensively, they are able to keep Stanford in it, as well as the scoring tap kind of ran a bit dry in the middle portion of the game. Stanford hanging on, Rice holding on as well, as it was a 4-4 game through the first 4 innings. Nobody scored until Stanford did in the bottom half of the 8th. Owen Cobb continuing his fantastic start with a 2-run triple to make it a 6-4 ball game in the bottom of the 8th inning, and Eddie Park tacking on a sac fly RBI to close out the scoring in this one. So Stanford pulls off the sweep, taking care of business, doing what it needs to do, and will in all likelihood maintain its number 2 ranking for another week. This one was fun. Chilly and cold, but fun. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and hope you had as much fun as we did bringing it to you. On behalf of our terrific Pac-12.com broadcast crew, I'm Troy Clarity. Thank you so much once again for joining us here today. Stanford gets the sweep of the Rice Owls. They win this one 7-4, the final score. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, and go Stanford.